Look at that rich smoke. Curls of Dominican favor. Yeah, man. But we're not here to talk about cigars. We're here to welcome you to Two Hands in the Face Audio, where our goal is to seek out and investigate and play with interesting musical gear, and then bring whatever we find, whatever we discover, to an audience that very hopefully is there. Gosh, I hope you're there listening. And if you are, we certainly appreciate it. On this occasion, we're taking a look at the already famous MXR Carbon Copy Analog Delay. Now, as you can see from the picture, which I hope is there, this is an extremely compact mini pedal format. We all know what mini pedal means at this point. It's barely bigger than 3 packs of gum. So it's extremely real estate efficient on your pedal board, and it makes it all the easier to not only find a place to put it, but just to manage it in general. This is a beautiful sounding analog delay, and by analog we mean opposing digital. It's a purely analog device, and it uses analog circuitry, which is to say diodes and traditional transistors, as opposed to microprocessors or integrated circuits, damn it, to create the sound that we love. And that sound is characterized by warmth. It's not as edgy, not as clear and stark, but also not as thin as a digital reverb. And what we're talking about is when the delay effect causes a note to repeat. In an analog device, the repeats of the note are not as clear, not as articulate as the initial note. And that to me is a desirable thing, because it creates a three-dimensional quality, a spatial quality that isn't as present in a digital delay. Not to say that digital delays do not have their place in the world. I own a couple myself, they truly do. But what you get with a digital delay is typically a very clean but thinner representation of the initial note, the note that you struck that you're hoping to repeat. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that. I have my strap plugged into the clean channel of my amplifier, and I will engage the carbon copy delay at nominal settings, and you can hear the repeats. I'm going to turn the speed down to a slow repeat so you can and each one of those repeats gets a little, to use the term, duller. This is the nature of an analog device. But the beauty of that is that instead of competing with the note that initiates the sequence of repeats, it gives it more of a depth effect. So if you like the warmer sound, if you like the duller repeating note, something that has a lot of warmth and adds a lot of spread to your sound, makes it very three-dimensional, then the analog delay might be the way to go. You may already own one. You may already have some digital delays, or at least one, that you enjoy the sound quality of. That's a beautiful thing. They have their place in the world. But for me, my go-to is the analog sound because I like the warmth of it. You can decrease the speed of the repeats, or should I say increase the speed by decreasing the gap. And you've got a nice, almost a rich reverb sound. Very three-dimensional. If you want, you can profoundly increase the speed of the repeats and get into kind of a rockabilly reverb sound. Very, very slight. Let's increase the ratio of signal to affected signal. and you can hear more of what I'm talking about. If you want to get more into the Pink Floyd territory, you can back off the signal ratio, make it a little more dry than wet, and you can really slow down those repeats and get into some interesting a lot of interesting effects to be had. You can increase your regeneration, which is the length of the trail of the repeats, and get into some interesting feedback situations. So there's a lot to be done here with a little. And the interesting thing about an analog delay like this one is that when you're using distortion, you get into the distorted sound, the digital reverb really becomes combative with that sound because the repeats are so clear. So you're getting distorted notes on top of distorted notes on top of distorted notes. And to me, it's almost an interference with what you're trying to play. Whereas with an analog set at moderate settings, you've got nearly an even split on the ratio of dry signal to wet signal, a fairly slow speed of repeat on the distance between the notes, and then your regeneration controls how far out that trail is. So we'll set all these at nominal and we'll engage our distortion and hear the blend of an analog delay with a distorted signal. The digital delays tend to undermine what you're playing, in my opinion, when you're using it with a distorted signal, because the repeats are so clear they become a barrage of notes competing with the notes you initiated them with. So they kind of step on what you're doing, whereas the warmer sounding, duller repeats of the analog delay kind of blend into the background and create this huge field of depth. So they give it a very three-dimensional sound. To me, an analog delay is far more ideal for playing distorted lead lines or chords. We'll demonstrate. So I have a nice ethereal, deep three-dimensional sound that I'm able to back up with the analog delay. And it's giving me exactly what I need in terms of a deep reverb sound or just a soft delay sound. It's there, but it's not competitive with my initial sound. So I'm very much liking the effect on the distorted channel. Now the interesting thing about the MXR analog delay, the carbon copy specifically, is that they come with a modulation feature. And by modulation, we're talking about an imposed wavering on a single line signal that gives you some amazing color and beautiful overtones. And it's kind of the effect that you would use in place of a chorus pedal, because it lacks the phasing effect of a chorus pedal, which can or cannot be a desirable thing. Sometimes you don't want that. You want the sparkling overtones, you want the color, you want the waver, but you don't want the phasing sounds. And on that occasion, a modulation feature is a great thing to have. Now here's a pretty chord without it. A little bit of delay going. Now I'll engage the modulation feature, and you can hear the effect that it has. It's almost like a chorus effect, but again without the phasing sounds. It's a beautiful effect, and it's equally effective, in my opinion, in terms of bringing color and pleasing overtones to the sound in the distortion channel. So here's a chord distorted without the modulation effect. And with the modulation effect. Increase the signal blend to increase the effect. So we've got some very cool sounding here's the same chords without the modulation. And again with it. So it's a really wonderful effect that you can use, in my opinion, in place of a chorus pedal. Chorus pedal has its place in the world. I own several of them. They're beautiful. I love what they do. But sometimes you want the waver and the color and the overtones and the sparkle without the phasing effects. That's where the modulator comes in. Now, the Carbon Copy not only provides you in this insanely tiny package a really warm and beautiful sounding analog delay, but it also provides you with that modulation feature. And you can open the back of this device. There's just 4 common Phillips head screws. You can take them out, and inside you can find controls with which you can alter the intent and effect of your modulation feature. You can make it more intense. You can make the cycles further apart. You can control the speed essentially, and you can set it up exactly the way you want. And it's easy to do. All you need is a flathead screwdriver to manipulate those controls. I've set mine the way I like. You've heard it. I think it's an incredible sound. It's something that I use all night long at a gig, and I use a chorus pedal now sparingly by comparison. And this device, in my opinion, is a very, very aggressive price point. So you've got the whole package here. You've got the modulation effect that's also adjustable inside the housing. You've got the beautiful and very, very manipulatable analog delay sound, and it's very warm and very three-dimensional. And you've got a tiny, tiny device offering you both of these amazing features. This, to me, is like the holy grail of pedals. I have never owned a pedal that I used so much. The effect of this on an acoustic guitar is equal, if not more beautiful, to that of your electric. Definitely try it on your acoustic guitar. The build quality, as we all know from MXR, is insane. You can have your pet elephant step on the damn thing. It ain't gonna hurt it. They're tanks. Beautiful pedal. Can't say enough good things about it. But at this point in the video, I've said enough good things about it. So, I hope that you will go and try one. I hope that you will go and buy one. And if you like what you saw and heard on Two Hands in the Face Audio, please hit that subscribe button. Not necessarily with your lit cigar, but hit it with your finger, man. That'll work. And if you didn't like what you saw and heard here tonight, hit it 5 times and tell 200 people. Anyway, it is a great pleasure to be in front of you on this occasion, and I hope that you have all of your musical wishes fulfilled.